This is Appalachian Television Omni-Media, improving America. 3:04, local Wasteland time. If you're listening, then maybe sleep passed you by, or maybe you passed by it first. You're listening to Midnight in the Wasteland. I'm Nightwatch. There are places out here where joy didn't survive. Exactly. It just lingered badly. Paint peeled. Music stopped. Lights went dead. But the shape of the thing stayed behind. Like the world remembered people once stood in line there, hoping for a better afternoon. Camden Park is one of those places. Even now, with the rides half rotted and the concrete split open by weeds and weather, you can still tell what it used to be. Bright once, loud once. Cheap in the ordinary way. A place for sticky fingers, bad hot dogs, sunburn, and parents spending more than they meant to because their kid looked happy. That's the sort of place the Wasteland is especially cruel to. It doesn't just ruin it. It leaves enough standing to remind you what got ruined. This story came to me the way that most of them do. Not from the park itself. Not from some grand discovery. Just a trader, half tired and half amused, passing through with a sack of junk, and a thing he couldn't quite explain, except by telling it. Said he'd been cutting through Camden, doing what everybody does there, checking the game stalls for loose caps, looking under counters, kicking through old trash for anything that hadn't been picked clean 10 times over. And every time he saw this one man, he was bent down in the dirt, looking for something smaller than cents. Not caps, not ammo, not chems, not anything worth carrying if you cared about practical matters. Tickets. Old ride tickets. Half-burned, mud-stuck, sun-bleached, and trampled flat into the cracks. The kind with faded color still on them. And if you turned them just right in the light, little strips of printed promise for bumper cars, cheap prizes, and things that spun too fast and things that fried for too long. The trader said the man would smooth each one out like it mattered. Thumb across the paper, fold straightened, mud brushed away, then tucked into an old tin with care, the kind usually reserved for ammunition or old photographs. Naturally, the trader asked him what he was doing. The man only said, "Getting close." And that would have probably been the end of it. A man in the Wasteland is allowed his private nonsense. Might even need it. But the trader kept seeing him, near the prize booths, under the warped planks by the midway, by the old food stand where the sign still promised hot dogs to a world that no longer had clean oil, let alone mustard. Always stooping, always checking corners, always brushing aside dirt for one more half-rotted little stub. Always the same answer. Getting close. After a while, people started making jokes about it. Said he was going to open the rides back up. Said he was saving for a teddy bear that probably glowed in the dark by now. Said if he found enough, he'd ride the Ferris wheel to heaven. The man never argued. Never laughed much either. Just kept sorting them. Some by color, some by print, some by whatever logic made only sense to him. And because traders are what they are, which is to say, allergic to leaving a mystery alone, the fellow finally sat down beside him one evening. It was on a busted bench near the carousel, and he asked him straight, "How close to what?" The man looked at the tickets in his hand for a long time before answering. Then he said, "When I was a kid, my parents told me and my father got a bonus that month. He'd bring me here on Saturday. My mother told me we would do it properly. Rides, lunch, and one foolish thing to take home." He said it exactly like that. One foolish thing to take home. A plastic rifle, a stuffed bear, a cheap hat, Something bright and useless a child would love for 2 weeks and remember for 40 years. He told the trader his mother had already counted it out for him. How many tickets for the rides he was tall enough for? How many for lunch? How many for one game? Maybe two, if his father was feeling generous. She laughed while doing it too, like she was letting him in on the mathematics of a good day. Then the world ended before Saturday got there. And years later, after all the hunger, and all the scavenging, and all the mean little bargains that make up life out here, he found one old ticket in the mud at Camden, then another, and another. And after a while, he decided there was no good reason to not finish counting. Not for the park, not for all the rides, just for the day he was promised. Enough for rides, lunch, and one foolish thing to take home. The trader said he didn't know what to do with that. So he did what most men do when they've accidentally stepped into somebody else's grief. He tried to make it smaller. Asked him what he was going to do when he had enough tickets. The man shrugged. They gave the kind of answer you can only give when you've been carrying the same herd around so long. It had worn itself smooth. Nothing, I guess, he said. Just know I could have gone. The trader told me that was the part that stayed with him. Not because it was dramatic. It wasn't. The man didn't cry. Didn't shake. Didn't stare off into distance, like he knew he was in a story. He just kept sorting tickets. In a failing light, like a bookkeeper of vanished happiness. Blue pile. Red pile. Half-usable pile. And a no-good pile. Doing arithmetic against a childhood interruption. I asked the trader if the man ever made it. Got enough, I mean. He said he didn't know. Said the last time he passed through Camden, he saw him near the old shooting gallery, kneeling in the dirt with that same tin by his knee. And the trader called out to him, asked how it was going. The man looked up, held one faded ticket between two fingers and said, "Closer." Out in the wasteland, people think survival has to look large. A wall that's high enough. A gun that's loaded enough. A cache full enough. And a quiet stomach. But that isn't always what keeps a person going. Sometimes it's smaller than that. Sometimes it's one afternoon you were supposed to have. One place. One season. One voice saying, Saturday. Soon. We will go. Most people get those days. Or enough of them anyway. Enough that they grow past them. Enough that the memory softens. It gets folded into all the other childhood things that they don't know how lucky they were to lose them naturally. That's the mercy of it. To have something good, and then slowly stop needing it. But some people don't get that mercy. Some people lose the thing before they ever get to live it. And that's what happens. It doesn't fade the same way. It waits. And it stays exactly where it was left. Bright, unfinished, still asking to be carried home. And maybe that's what he was doing out there in the dirt at Camden. Not trying to buy back the park. Not trying to turn the lights on again. Not trying to become a child. Just trying to stand, for one brief moment, in the place where the promise broke, and say, there, now it happened. Now I can put it down. And the cruel thing is, a lot of people never get to put it down. They spend years, sometimes whole lives, trying to recapture the shape of one lost thing. One summer, one house, one parent before they changed, one vision of themselves before the world got interrupted. And sometimes they hold that old hurt so tightly, they stop seeing what's still being offered to them now. Not because they're foolish, because pain with a child's face on it can last longer than reason. So if you pass through Camden and see a man in the dirt collecting scraps of colored paper like they matter more than caps, leave him to it. Or help him. If your hands are feeling gentle, look under the prize booth. Check near the old food stand. See what the rain washed loose. You might find one. And if you do, don't laugh too hard at what he's trying to buy. Most of us have something like that. Some lost little brightness we still measure against, whether we admit it or not. A day we never got. A voice we still hear. A happiness we keep trying to recreate long after the world that made it is gone. You've been listening to Midnight in the Wasteland. I'm Nightwatch. I'll be here as long as the tower holds and the signal keeps finding its way through. Until then, if there's some small memory you still carry because life never gave you the chance to outgrow it, I hope you find a way to hold it kindly before it teaches you to miss your whole life while still trying to get one piece of it back.